If you want your vocal mix to sound more enhanced, but you're not sure exactly how to do that, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you how you can mix a very modern and enhanced sound for your rap vocals. So let's go.
Take you out, spin a bag, I am just a man. Cut you off so that we do not have to talk again. Thought you was the one, but it just turns out you were a fan.
Okay, so yeah, as I said before, I'm going to show you how you guys can make a very modern and enhanced vocal mix. And make sure you stay till the end of the video because I have a very important tip that I'm going to share with you guys. Also, one last thing, if you're into kind of improving the sound of your music and your vocal mixes in general, then you should check out my website where I have 3 available vocal presets. One of them is completely free, being the Caleb James lead vocal preset. And yeah, if you're into that kind of stuff, then you can go visit that right after this video. I'll put it as the first link in the description. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right into this mix. Okay, so I'm going to be working in FL Studio, but these same exact principles will work in any other sort of DAW, like Logic or Pro Tools or anything else like that. If you just take these same techniques that I'm using within this video and transfer them over to your DAW, then you should be just fine. So the very first thing that you're going to want to have is the raw recording, as you can hear right here.
Take you out, spin a bag, I am just a man. Cut you off so that we do not have to talk again. Thought you was the one, but it just turns out you were a fan.
So yeah, as you can hear, the lead vocal right there is pretty much the opposite of being an enhanced vocal. As you can hear, we have nothing on it. It's just super muddy and kind of unclear. So what we're going to do to fix that is we're going to start right here. The very first plugin I'm going to add is the one called Pitcher in FL Studio. It's basically the stock autotune plugin. And also, one thing I forgot to mention is that I'm going to be using all stock plugins. So if you don't have any plugins, don't worry, you're not going to need to download anything. So yeah, all you're going to have to do for the autotune plugin right here is just put the key of the song right here into the plugin. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so here's mine right here. And then as you can hear, if I play it right now with the retune speed all the way up,
take you out, spin a bag, I am just a man.
It is going to sound a little bit too robotic, and although this is going to be an enhanced vocal, I don't think I want the retune speed to be that fast, so I am going to turn it down just a little bit, probably just a little bit above medium right there.
Take you out, spin a bag, I am just a man. Cut you off so that we...
Okay, so I think that sounds pretty good, and that's literally all I'm going to do for the autotune right there. And then the very next plugin I'm going to add is an EQ. So for these kind of more enhanced, like Faygo or Lil Uzi vert type vocals, I'm going to cut out a little bit more of the low end than I would for maybe like a clean kind of human like rap vocal preset right here. All I did was I did a high pass right here, and all you have to do a high pass is right click on the very far left knob right here, go to type, and then hit high pass. And then for the order, I just did the steep 6. That just changes how steep the cutoff is right here. So yeah, I like it on that one just because it's a little bit of a harsher slope. Right here, all I did was I cut the low end out to about there, and then in the middle here, and I do this on all of my EQs. It doesn't matter whether it's enhanced vocal or it's more of a clean vocal. All I do is I drag these up, these knobs right here, and I sweep through for frequencies that I just don't think sound good and ones that I want to cut out, and then I just drag them down. So as you can hear, this one right here, when I play the vocal, it's going to sound pretty unpleasant.
Take you out, spin a bag, I am just a man.
As you can hear, that kind of boxy tone right there, it's just something that I didn't want in the mix. So all you have to do is kind of drag that out. I did that for these 3 middle knobs right here, and you can kind of play around with this. But yeah, there are going to be some frequencies that you're going to want to take out within your vocal recording. So you're just going to have to kind of practice with it and take out the frequencies that you think don't sound good. And then once we get into the high end here, again, with these more enhanced vocals, like I said before, they're more high and heavy and they have more clarity in them. So I did boost the high end a little bit more right here. This would be the far right knob, and I just boost it at around 2K right there up till probably about right there-ish. It'll just give it that really clear sound. But one thing you have to be careful of when boosting the high end is you're going to get those high and harsh frequencies that are going to get boosted a little bit more when you do this. So you're going to have to be able to combat those. And in this very first EQ right here, I did just take out one of those really high harsh frequencies right here. So as you can hear, if I boost this, it's going to be pretty unpleasant.
Take you out, spin a bag, I am just a man.
As you can hear, that frequency is super harsh, so I cut it out. And since it's more harsh than these ones in the middle, I cut it out quite a bit more right here than those ones in the middle. But again, you can just kind of play around with your EQ and tweak it to your liking. This is kind of just like a base guideline for how you can achieve that enhanced sound. Okay, the very next plugin I added right here was a compressor. Now, for my compression, it is very, very simple. All I do is I turn the ratio up to about 3:1 right here, not that high, and then I just play with the threshold until you can start to hear that compressor acting on the vocal. So as you can hear, once I play the vocal here,
take you out, spin a bag, I am just a man. Cut you off,
just kind of play with the threshold until you start to hear it affect the vocal. And I think I start to hear my compressor affecting the vocal recording at about -16 decibels. Now it could be different on your vocal recording depending on how loud it is or how many spikes in volume there are. So again, you're just gonna kind of have to play around with this. And then for the attack and release, with my attack and releases, I don't really change the settings too much. I maybe turn them up just a little bit because I don't want the attack to sound too obvious and too harsh to the point where you kind of know the vocals being compressed. And then for the release, I'm going to turn it up to about 350 milliseconds right here, just because I kind of want it to hold onto the vocal enough so that it's kind of a clean transition between when the compressor acts right there. And then for the type on this specific plugin, I just put it on the vintage setting, but this won't really matter because if you're not using this specific plugin, you might not have this setting. But yeah, those are my compressor settings. Again, you don't have to overthink this. Now, while this can be a pretty advanced plugin, it doesn't have to be. You can just go as simple as this with your compressor and you'll be fine. And now to help balance out those first two plugins we added to the vocal, I added just another EQ. So what I did with this one right here was just another high pass just to get rid of any more kind of low frequencies that are coming through right there. And then with this one, it was mostly balancing out that high end a little bit because when I boosted that right here in the first EQ, I did get some of those frequencies coming through that are pretty high and harsh. So this second EQ plugin is really going to help me balance out that high end. So right here, I did dip out just ever so slightly a little bit in the high end. And then just another one of those harsh frequencies I cut out a little bit, as you can hear.
Take you out, spin a bag, I am just a man, cut you off so that we...
So yeah, I think these little kind of balance changes that you can make, especially with the EQ plugin, are very helpful when you're trying to work towards the exact sound that you want. But yeah, just a very simple balancing EQ right there. And moving on, the next plugin that I added was a Fruity Limiter. Now, what I use this plugin for is basically like a noise gate. Now, what a noise gate is it basically helps you cut out all the background noise in your vocal recording. So if you had like a fan in the background or there's just low talking in the background or something that you just don't want, but it's a lot quieter than the vocal, then this is going to help you really cut that out. So all I do right here is I go to presets and then go down to noise gate right here. So as you can see, what this is going to do is it's going to help us create a threshold for all those low and unwanted sounds. So anything below that threshold is going to get completely cut out.
Take you out, spin a bag.
So as you can hear though, if we make the threshold too high, then we're going to start cutting out some of the vocal. So I really am just going to turn this threshold pretty far down so that I don't cut out any of that vocal, but I'm still cutting out any of those background noises.
Take you out, spin a bag, I am just a man.
Okay, so I think that's pretty good, and that's literally all we have to do for that plugin. And then the next one's called Maximus. This is basically like a de-esser right here. So all I have to do right here is go to presets again, go to de-esser narrowband. And what this will help me do is, again, since we added a lot of that clarity, with that we're going to get some of those high S's, T's, and P's that are going to really come through the mix. Just turning this orange toggle down until we can start to hear those S sounds being turned down.
Take you out, spin a bag, I am just a man, cut you off so that we do not have to talk again.
And I think that sounds pretty good right there. And then the last two plugins, just another compressor and an EQ, just to really help balance out the final stages of this vocal. So in this last EQ right here, I really just wanted to do some finishing touches on that high end right here. So with the de-esser, we were in between the 5 to 10K range, but that's just because that's where those S sounds were coming. And that de-esser plugin really is only built to turn down the S, T, and P sounds that really come through harshly. But right here, as you can see, we're going above the 10K range just because sometimes there are some very high frequencies that are just really hard to listen to that really can only be balanced out by this EQ right here. So that's all I did right there, just still balancing out this high end. I did barely a little bit more of like a little clarity boost right here, just barely right there, and then one more frequency in the middle that I cut out. So even till my last EQ, I'm still looking for those frequencies that I want to help balance out right there, as you can see. And the EQ is just a very good tool to use to really help just fine tune your vocal to get it to sound exactly the way you want it to. And then for the last compressor right here, the settings were very similar to the first one. The only thing I really changed right here was I just boosted the gain 1 decibel just because of the volume we lost when EQing and compressing and adding all those plugins. I just wanted to gain a little bit of that back, so I just added 1 decibel gain on that one. And so yeah, that's basically the entire basic mix. So yeah, before we added any of those plugins, this is what the vocal sounded like.
Take you out, spin a bag, I am just a man, cut you off so that we do not have to talk again.
And with all those plugins, this is where we're at.
Take you out, spin a bag, I am just a man, cut you off so that we do not have to talk again.
So yeah, that's the very basic mix. But wait, we're not done yet. If you guys remember, I said in the beginning of the video that I was going to have one very important tip at the end of the video, and this is it. Now, as you can hear right here, this vocal does sound pretty quiet.
Take you out, spin a bag.
And while we do have that pretty good enhanced mix sound by itself,
Take you out, spin a bag.
it really just doesn't stand out when you play it with the beat.
Take you out, spin a bag.
And a way that you can fix this is you can make a whole different mixer track right here. And then on that mixer track, what I have right here is a compressor. So what we're going to be using this second mixer track for is what's called parallel compression. And I use it on pretty much every single one of my mixes. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn the ratio a lot higher up than the other compressors. I put mine at about 7:1. And then you're really just going to crush the threshold to about -30 decibels. And then this is very important, you're going to turn the gain up a bunch. Now I put mine at about plus 17.6 decibels right there. So yeah, once you have that compressor done right there, what you're going to do is go down to your mixer, make sure you have the main basic mix track selected, and then go down to this little arrow right here and click it right there. Now what this is going to do is it's basically going to create a compressed double of your vocal just to make it louder. And you can change the volume of that double with this little toggle down here underneath that second compressor bus we added right there. And then just a side tip, a couple other plugins you can add, as I mentioned before, are the sound goodizer. This is kind of my settings that I have for it. I have it on the A setting up to about 25% right there. Now really all this is going to do is just give your vocal a little bit more volume and enhancements, and I think it just gives it a cool sound. And then these last two plugins will take that enhanced sound to another level. I have the fruity chorus on here and the fruity phaser, and these are my settings right here. So yeah, you can copy those settings if you want. So yeah, what these plugins are going to do is the chorus is going to make it seem like there's more than one person singing the vocal. So it's kind of going to give the vocal a little bit more width and make it sound a lot more full. So as you can hear at its base setting, this is what it's going to sound like.
Take you out, spin a bag. I am just a man.
So as you can hear, that sounds a little bit too enhanced right there. So what we can do is on the plugin right here over on the right, we can just turn that down to however much we like. So I'm going to turn it all the way down and then just mix it in until I like.
Take you out, spin a bag. I am just a man. Cut you off so that we do not have to talk again.
Okay, so I think at about just a little bit above 25% right there is where I like the chorus. And then for the phaser, I'm just going to turn it up just a little bit more than the chorus because that's where I like to put it.
Take you out, spin a bag. I am just a man. Cut you off so that we do not have to talk again.
So yeah, those two plugins really just help with that kind of modern enhanced rap vocal sound. And I think they can be a very good addition to your mix. And then the last thing I added was just a reverb bus right here. Here are my reverb settings. All I did was just turn the wet all the way up, the dry up a little bit, and then the decay, which is basically going to make your reverb last for longer. I just turn that up just a little bit as well. Again, I just select my main basic mix track, go down to the arrow, and then route that track to the reverb track right there. And then again, you can mix the reverb in until you like.
Take you out, spin a bag. I am just a man. Cut you off so that we do not have to talk again.
Okay, so that's it for the whole entire mix. So I hope this tutorial helped you out. If it did, I would appreciate it a lot if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Again, if you're into improving the sound of your vocal mixes, then you should check out my website where I have 3 available vocal presets. One of them is completely free. And yeah, you can check that out right after this video. It'll be the first link in the description. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Take you out, spin a bag. I am just a man.